right, welcome back to another episode of the Lionstone podcast. Another solo episode this week. We're going to touch on fat loss workouts because I see it pumped all over social media. People are still buying this hype and this fad, and I don't know if it's a fad necessarily, but fat loss workouts. Do they exist? Are they, can you even, do you work out to burn fat? Short answer? No, fat loss workouts don't exist. We don't train to burn fat. I want to go over some of the key points here of again, if you see me looking at the screen, it's because I've got my notes up. I don't want to miss anything. I can't remember all this information is in here, but it's easier to talk about if it's written down. Essentially, we're going to start with fat loss workouts. What's the concept of them? It's like you look at your F45 or for international people. I think you've got it. I think your F45 is international. But your group class, kind of just throw shit around workouts. Now, I'm not including CrossFit in that because CrossFit is not touted as a fat loss workout, but your F45s, your kind of group class gyms where they're fat loss workouts and things like that. We don't train to lose fat. As a total caloric expenditure, don't quote me on the exact number before someone gets narky about it. You can look it up yourself, but it's 5% of your total daily calorie expenditure is from your workout. The rest is from bodily function and just other activities throughout the day. So don't train with the purpose of just trying to burn the most calories because it's not the purpose of it. The purpose of training is, one, to retain the muscle tissue that you've got, also build more muscle tissue, but also strength, overall performance, every other attribute that comes from the adaptations from training. So stress adaptations of strength and hypertrophy. Not for the fat loss capacity. So when we look at fat loss, there's the one thing determines fat loss, and that's calorie intake. Now, there are going to be outliers to that, people with Hashimoto's and thyroid issues and hormonal issues. But the thing that determines fat loss, irrespective of your hormonal issues, is your total calorie intake. So we want to eat in a deficit. The fundamentals, calorie deficit, we have a deficit of energy that we need to sustain, bodily function, movement, all that shit. And we use our body fat stores in order to create that energy difference or make up that energy difference, because body fat is just stored energy. That's all it is. So which is why when we eat in a deficit, we eat less than we need. We use our body fat to fuel that additional energy. We break down the fat cells like lipolysis, and we start to burn body fat to create more energy so we can live our lives and all that shit. And then we get down to a point of where we've dropped enough body fat. Cool. Now we bring our total intake of food, from calories, from food, up to maintenance or surplus, whatever the goal is next. Diet's primary role is the biggest impact on weight loss. Like I said, calorie deficit. It's not going to be how many calories you burn on the treadmill, all that kind of stuff. While yes, it does play a role, cardio in here, while it contributes to overall calorie burn, you can't out-train a bad diet. If you're eating in a surplus and you're doing cardio, and you're still eating in a surplus, no matter how much cardio you do, if you're still eating in a surplus, you're not going to lose body fat. You're not going to drop weight. So make sure you're eating in a deficit. Don't overdo the cardio because we don't want to eat into muscle tissue. Even though cardio is touted as the fat loss thing, it's what everyone used to do. If you want to lose fat, you don't touch the weights, you do cardio. Weight training is just as important because you don't want to just be skinny. You want to actually lose body fat and retain the muscle tissue. And unfortunately, cardio is catabolic. It's not an anabolic thing, where weight training in its inherently isn't anabolic, but it allows you to stress and train the muscle so that it actually stays, and it gives it reason to stay because you're putting your body under the muscle under physical stress. So it actually needs to work and adapt and get stronger and stay there. So that's why you train it. Again, there's no specific workouts for fat loss. We just diet and we just train for performance and muscle. We don't try diet for fat loss. Marketing tactics, again, they're just there to just sell shit, really. Don't fall into the hype. People will sell fat loss, belly fat burning workouts on YouTube. I used to do them when I was a teenager. I used to think that they were the shit. And then as you get more educated, you realize, these guys and these women that promote this stuff aren't inherently, you don't burn fat via working out. It's not you do, but there's no specific training that you can do. And belly fat burning workouts, spot reduction isn't a thing. That's a whole other topic, but spot reduction isn't a thing. So just work out to weight train to make sure that you are retaining the muscle tissue that you have, you are staying strong and eating a calorie deficit to drop body fat. Benefits of muscle preservation. We're looking at like better body composition when you do drop that fat. So you're actually in a leaner shape. You're not just drop fat and become skinny fat. You actually drop body fat and have muscle tissue that you actually look the part. You look like the toned look that you like women want and like the jacked look that dudes want. You want to drop the body fat, retain the muscle tissue, but also from an overall like fat loss perspective. Like if you've got more muscle tissue there, you are going to drop body fat at a faster rate, because considering the fact that, well, not necessarily faster, but like I don't want to say easier too, but muscle tissue takes calories to, or takes energy to retain and keep, and like it needs energy to actually work, where fat doesn't. So the more muscle tissue you've got, the more calories you're burning at rest. In like that's the broad overview of it. Cardio versus muscle loss. I mean, it's going to eventually eat into muscle tissue. But provided that, like, especially if you're on super, super low calories, like 1,300, 1,200, 1,100, sub 1,000 calories a day, probably will. But provided you're eating adequate amounts of protein, you should be pretty good there. 1.8 to 2.2 is like the standard. Some people need a little bit more. Like, again, there are different, like, there's some range there. So use the calorie calculator, plug it in yourself. It'll give you some numbers. But make sure you're always hitting your protein. Again, we want to look at sustainability here over quick fixes. Now, I always preach, like, get fat off fast. Like, getting fat off fast is important, but it's not to the extent of, like, fast is relative, right? Fast is always going to be dependent on the individual. Fast for you may be 16 weeks. Fast for you may be 4 weeks. People that do it in 4 weeks, I would say that you're most likely going to put that back on. You're probably going to eat into a bunch of muscle tissue too and feel like shit the entire time. 16 weeks really isn't that long of a time period. Put it into perspective. So let's say you want to drop 20 kilos, 10 kilos, whatever it may be, but it's taken you 4 years to put that on. Losing that in 16 weeks, isn't that really long of a time period? You just want the instant gratification of, like, I want to lose it as fast as possible. But unfortunately, it's going to take effort. And if you want to actually keep it off and learn the skills in order to keep it off, doing it over a longer period of time, being like 16 weeks, ain't really that long. Doing it over a longer period of time is going to teach you the habits that you need to maintain your nutrition, but also keep the result. Because, like, the hardest part is losing it. Once you've got it off, and provided you have the habits and the skills in place, whether that's like training, nutrition, accountability, whatever it may be, keeping it off is the easy part. Because once you adapt it into a lifestyle of where you're not constantly dieting and yo-yoing in and out, you can actually maintain the weight loss and keep it off. And you'll keep it off long term. It's just skills and habits that are built. Now, this is a little bit of a shorter one. This is only 8 minutes. I wanted to just get in and get this done because I saw a post on it earlier today, and I don't think fat loss workouts aren't there. They're not the thing. Train to build muscle, train to get strong, diet to lose fat. Punch your details into the calorie calculator in the description. The link will be there. It'll spit out some calories. You can select whether your goal is to grow, maintain, fat loss, whatever it may be. Click them below, punch it in. It'll send you like calories. All you need to do is put in your email. It's not like you have to pay for it or anything like that. But if you don't want to do it yourself and you don't know how to do it, and like you just get the numbers, you're like, what the fuck do I do? Click the link in the bio. Click the link in the description. Book in a call. It's free. We'll have a chat. We'll go over your goals. We'll set you up with, like, cool, this is what we'll change. We'll just discuss and get you on the plan moving forward. And then if you want us to take care of it, we discuss all of that on the call. Cool. Other than that, if you have any questions, leave them below. DM them to me. I hope you have a terrific day. And again, we'll chat soon. Don't fall into the hype for fat loss workouts. Train to build muscle, train to get strong, diet to lose fat. All right. Goodbye.